If you are wondering why I have been featured in this video, I'm basically the car kid that sent those comments to you girls online. I just want to ask you a question. What's the importance of art in cars? Because I already know for a fact you girls really love art and animation. So I got to ask, what's the importance of your art and animation thingy when it comes to classic cars? It's like this good old 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle with the headlights, the stripes, the grille, and the badging, and even the wheels, and even the shape of the windows and the rear tail lights. Other examples when it comes to other cars like this that look similar, with the similar body style or the window style, the split grille featured on many Pontiacs, the hood scoops, the headlights, the amber turn signals, the wheels, and most importantly the engines, because this one had a 454 cubic inch 4-barrel carburetor Chevrolet big block V8 that made 450 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque. This one had a 455 cubic inch 4-barrel carburetor Pontiac V8 that made 375 horsepower. That is the exact one in the 1993 film Dazed and Confused, my childhood film. Another one is this 1970 Oldsmobile 442 W30, especially with the grille, the badging, the front end, the stripes, the spoiler, and especially the taillights, which are like this on both sides, and with the 442 badging at the rear, and definitely the hood scoops. Another example is the Buick GSX Stage 1, 1970. All these cars are 1970, so you already know the model years for all of these. Cadillac Fleetwood Eldorado. I'm not asking this question just for muscle cars like these with the headlights, the front end, the grille, the lines, the spoilers, the hood scoop, the stripes, the secondary colors, and the front bumpers and everything. This also applies to luxury cars and more cars with definitely stuff like this. Roll down headlights. The Mercury Cycle Sport 429. Another example with the roll down or roll up headlights is the Lincoln Continental Mark III. 1974 60 cubic inch 4-barrel carburetor V8. Another example is this Plymouth GTX with the angry looking front end and definitely the shape of the rear window, because to me cars like these, they look really happy. This looks happy. This also looks very happy. This looks happy. This looks kind of menacing but really happy. Really menacing but happy. Okay, with the lights down, it looks really menacing. For this one, it looks kind of happy. This one, it looks really mad. For this one, though, 70 Dodge Coronet Super B, if you can get the right picture. That's the reason why I like to ask that question so much. What's the importance of art and animation in cars? Because stuff like that looks really, really angry. And I mean really, damn it. Another example is the Chrysler Hearst 300, 1970. Only 500 of these cars were ever made, and prices for these cars can go as high as $300,000. And definitely the Imperial LeBaron for 1970, which looks really similar to the Chrysler, because Imperial back then was a more souped up Chrysler, luxury wise, and I think performance wise. Oh no, performance wise was Chrysler. And definitely the AMC AMX's T390. Cars like that, they look really happy or just really menacing, like they're grinning. And this is an example of cars I like with the roll down or roll up headlights, and definitely in cars like these as well. What's the importance of art and animation when it comes to stuff like that, such as those roll down and roll up headlights, or heck, just the design of the car in general? The doors, the rear taillights, the front headlights, the amber turn signals, the spoilers, and even the engines featured inside of this, and with even more other cars like those cars. And take for example even those old 50s cars like the 57 Chevy or the Tri-5 Chevy in general. This is the most famous of them all. Another famous example I can think of is definitely the 1959 Cadillac. How did they even design the front end, and definitely the tail fins and the tail lights as well. Another car, the 57 Ford Fairlane 500, just as iconic, if not more unknown and underrated compared to the Chevy. And definitely the 59 1960 Lincoln. If I can find a picture of stuff like this one, that's a real beauty. How they even design, definitely the side profile as well. How did they design that? And definitely the front end and the way it looks very angry. And any other example, the older Imperial, like such as this 59 Imperial. How they design, especially the grille. How did they design the grille and everything, even the badging and the wheels itself? This doesn't just apply to American cars as well. How do they even design some of my favorite movie cars? Like, for example, the Gumball Rally. It even had this Ferrari, 72 Ferrari 365 GTB/4 Daytona, and the 65 Shelby Cobra 427 CSX 2100 with the 427 cubic inch 4-barrel carburetor V8. It made a 425 horsepower as well, which is the same horsepower as the Hemi with the 426. And another car I can think of is a Christine. Because, you know, definitely this as well. And definitely the Dukes of Hazzard Charger. Another example I can think of is you'll be using this Aston Martin DB5 with modifications. DB5, not DB4 or whatever. Because that's a real example. And the Jaguar E-Type as well. One last example, but by the way, before we go to that, yes, I already asked this question at least 2-3 times, but how they even design stuff like this? Because this is really beautiful. Even Enzo Ferrari, the founder of Ferrari, called the Jaguar XKE the most beautiful car in the world. And the last example would be the older Mercedes. Take this for example. The old Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9. That's my favorite Mercedes sedan of the 70s. While for the 60s, it was definitely the Mercedes-Benz 300 SEL 6.3. It was the predecessor of the previous car I showed, which means it technically was the first one before that. How do they even manage to design stuff like this? Because this is really beautiful as well.